On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, we're previewing and predicting Kentucky versus number 3 Texas. Longhorns fans, don't forget to like and subscribe as always for more content. It's greatly appreciated. And check us out at HornSports.com for all the latest in Texas news. Now, doing basic game info as always. The game is Saturday, the 23rd of November at 2:30 p.m. Central Time at Darrell K. Texas Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. The game will be televised on ABC, and Texas is favored currently by 21 points. So, Dylan, get us into that scouting report of the Kentucky defense.
Yeah, this is going to be their best unit in theory compared to their offense, Devon. It's led by defensive coordinator Brad White. This is his sixth season. Some stuff to highlight. Top 10 red zone defense currently right now. They're 33rd in total defense in 328.9 per game. And they're also 27th in passing defense, which is 190 pass yards per game. And then scoring offense, Devon, they're only allowing 20.8 points per game so far. So this defense has been playing very well. And they're led by middle linebacker Jamon Dumas-Johnson, Georgia transfer. Although he's been dealing with some injuries, Devon, he should be good to go in this game. If not, this is their leading tackler at 54 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, and 3.5 sacks, as well as an interception if you want to throw in there that as well. So this guy is all over the place on the field. He's a big part of this defense. And on the other side, you've got J.J. Weaver, another player dealing with some injuries. He has 5 sacks on the season, leads the team with 6 tackles for loss. So the linebacking unit is going to be, again, the main bread and butter of Kentucky. They've also got J.Q. Hardaway, the defensive back, who has 2 interceptions and 40 tackles on the season. And then up front, Devon, defensive linebacker, you get a kick out of this. Deion Walker, he's 6'6", 345 pounds as a sophomore.
Defensive
So
lineman?
he's also, if he's also good to go in this game, he's going to be eating a lot of bread and butter before this too. So that is the defense here. Devon, this Kentucky defense has played well this season. They've kept them in games against teams like Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, but they've been inconsistent at times.
Hopefully not too much bread and butter, Dylan. I don't know how many the city of
There's a
Austin
lot
has
going
for
on.
that man. But Kentucky offense, Dylan, Mark Stoops' squad, you look at the Georgia transfer quarterback and Brock Vandegrift, who, Dylan, honestly has been inconsistent this year, but as Texas fans know, seemingly every opposing quarterback has been inconsistent. Vandegrift has just over 1,500 yards, Dylan, passing, 9 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. So as you can see, it's not a good situation for a quarterback when you're close to even at the TD to interception ratio. So that's something for the Longhorns to try to take advantage of with that talented secondary that they have. The running game for Kentucky features Jamarian Wilcox and Demi Sumo, Dylan, pronunciation. I think I got it there. They've combined for 979 yards and 7 touchdowns. So if you combine the two names, Dylan, that's a pretty good year so far. However, the Kentucky just run offense overall is ranked 71st in the nation with 157.1 rushing yards per game. So it's not too bad. It's middle of the road, but yet again, Dylan, it's going to be a test for them against this Texas front, which has just been phenomenal this year. To just repeat about how good Texas is, both in the pass defense and run defense. And then looking at Vandegrift's targets, you got big boy Dane Key, Dylan, 6'3" junior. You're talking about Kentucky, just their roster. They got some guys that have some size. Then you have 6'1" wide receiver Barian Brown. Now Key yet again is the leading target for Kentucky. Already has 44 catches on the year, which is pretty solid. 686 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brown has been, more productive in the end zone, Dylan. He has 3 touchdowns, but also adds 307 yards. But overall, Dylan, besides those guys, it has not been just too shocking for Kentucky offensively. The Wildcats have the 109th ranked scoring offense with 21.9 points per game. And then I mentioned the 71st ranked rushing offense, but they also have the 114th ranked passing offense. So overall, not too great in terms of averages there. And this is not a team you want to play around against in the Texas Longhorns, who, yet again, almost shockingly enough, Dylan, are one of the better defenses in the country. Now we're moving over to X Factors. Who do you have here?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the offense here. Devon Key is like the main point of attack. It feels like if Vandegrift is able to get him the ball right
Oh,
from
for
so
sure. Yeah.
that's gonna be the thing to highlight, and is what Texas is gonna be looking to take away, which is why I wanted to highlight. Going to do a lot of highlighting here. Get out your sharpies. But the running backs here, Demi Sumo and Jamarian Wilcox. Wilcox actually had above 100 yards rushing against, wait for it, Murray State. So good game for Kentucky to get their legs back underneath them after 4 straight losses. However, they're going to need a lot more production out of Wilcox and Sumo in this game because, like we saw with Arkansas, they were able to stay in this game through a balanced attack. In a lot of ways, the run game and leaning on that offensive line. If you can't do that against Texas, you become one dimensional. There's a proven track record of teams not being able to stay in the game at that point. So, again, if Sumo and Wilcox, if they can combine for, I would say, above 150 yards rushing in this game, they have a good chance of staying in this because, again, with Vandegrift at the helm, Kentucky has had a hard time staying in any sort of shootout. And if they fall behind by 2 touchdowns or 2 possessions, at that, what they've shown is it's kind of, it hasn't been good for them, is what I'm trying to say, right? So long drives to start the game, running the football, controlling the clock, that's how they beat Ole Miss. It's gonna have to be the same formula for this team, or it's gonna get out of hand.
Yeah, Dylan, you're mentioning Dane Key. When you have over double receiving yards as the next guy, that shows that right now you are that passing offense for Vandegrift. Now, my X factors on the flip side of the ball, flip side of the sideline, I got Isaiah Bond here, Dylan. It took way too long to be featured against Arkansas, and he finished the game with 4 catches for 48 yards, but in those touches, it just showed the explosiveness of what the offense could do, Dylan, and getting those first downs. For Quinn Ewers, who, yet again, we talk about consistency just at quarterbacks, for someone who's been struggling with that lately, I think a good way to get him involved is just to get some easy pitch and catches with Bond scripted early on that first drive. I'm thinking he's going to be a big player to watch here, Dylan, but yet again, Sark has a lot of toys that he has been using, Matthew Golden being the most recent one with 2 touchdowns against Arkansas. Now, Dylan, we're going danger level here. How are you feeling about the Longhorns at home against a Kentucky team that has been up and down, but more down than up?
I would say it's a lot of downs, Devin. Specifically, it started in the off season, right? Stoops didn't get the A&M job. That made for
That
an
was
awkward kind
awkward.
of getting
Yeah.
back with your ex after trying to leave your ex, and you're like, no, I actually want to stay because the better option didn't want me. So to come back to that, he's been outspoken about the NIL. He's been didn't do too hot when it comes to the transfers this season. Feel like they've also underperformed in the talent they were able to bring in. So I'm saying all this because I actually have the danger level a little bit higher than maybe someone would expect. I've got it at a 5, Devin, because this is your quintessential trap game. And also, Stoops needs a win bad or really, 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 really close loss here where it maybe comes down to a kick that decides this game because it's not trending well for this team. And a lot of changes could happen in the offseason if they don't right the ship and have a solid game against a top 4 team like Texas.
Yeah, Dylan, was an awkward scenario where it almost felt like Stoops was not totally sold on the, quote unquote better option. But when the better
Mhm.
option dumps you, I mean, you gotta just come back
It
on your
hurts.
knees and begging for forgiveness. And Dylan, like you're saying, when you don't have a good year after doing that, oh my gosh, your ex or former partner now is just looking all over and licking its chops at the next
The
best thing.
family's mad too. Like
The
fans are not
family
happy
got
with how it's
some
been going.
internal drama going on, and we're
Yeah.
sorry if we're giving any PTSD to anybody here, but it's just not been pretty for Kentucky this year. And Dylan, yeah, there has been more downs than ups. They have beaten Ole Miss this year, which is quite the shocker. However, besides that, no real recognizable key wins for them. They've dropped games to South Carolina, to Georgia, and to Tennessee. Now, of course, all those opponents are pretty dang solid. So, Kentucky, you got to feel a little bit bad for them. But, Dylan, that's the SEC in general right now. It just everyone's going to play somebody, and Kentucky has played a lot of somebodies and not too well. But my danger level, Dylan, I agree this is a trap game. I'm going lower than you, though. I'm going with 3 here. It's at home, of course, for the Longhorns. And while Kentucky has beaten Ole Miss in the past, it's just been inconsistent from them offensively. And against Texas, yet again, the defense has been stifling. It's hard to imagine, yet again, famous last words, hard to imagine Kentucky being able to just put together a couple of solid drives to get something going, Dylan. But I think when it's all said and done in the game, they'll be able to find the end zone at least once. I know some opponents have struggled there. But Dylan, I don't know. I think it'll be close, Dylan. I agree. I think it'll be closer maybe than what we expect. But we'll see in our prediction here shortly. Now, Dylan, speaking of predictions, who do you got?
Yeah, I've got no surprise here, Devin. I got Texas winning this game, and I want to piggyback off your comments earlier with Kentucky playing against Ole Miss. It was one of those games where Ole Miss had plenty of chances to come back and win that game, and there was just errant throws by Jackson Dart, missed assignments, weird plays, right? Like it was just like, how is Kentucky actually going to end up winning this game? And their defense really helped that, but that ultimately was what won them that matchup. I wouldn't say it was anything specifically that Kentucky did better than another team, and that's been the story of this entire season. And right, they have had a tough schedule. They've played Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss. They've hung in there. They've beat Ole Miss. They play to the level of their competition, but they also play to the level of all of the other bad teams. They also got blown out by Florida and South Carolina. The scenario here is Texas doesn't show up for this game, and that's what I feel like is the deciding factor here. How Texas beat Arkansas, and what I thought was impressive is the trenches later in the game, going into the fourth quarter, late into third, were able to really take over that game and allow Ewers to get comfortable and make the right reads. If they show up, play with the same physicality against Kentucky, a team that's already not feeling too hot, right? Looking for any kind of momentum shift to kind of just fall apart. That's what I kind of expect here. And I think with Texas, what I saw with Jadon Blue and how he's able to run behind this O line, if Texas can lean heavily on that run game, let the offensive line go to work, I think it's gonna be wrapped. So I got Texas winning this 34-14. I did not have this as a close game.
All right, I was waiting for it. Usually lead with it. So Dylan's got a little bit of a tease there. Dylan,
Yeah.
I've got the Longhorns as well. I'll tease my score prediction though, because we're used to doing that. Jadon Blue, Dylan, when he gets the chances, it seems like he's been making things work lately. Of course, he's still got to watch out for the fumbles. Dylan, I think everyone was seeing that fumble against Arkansas before it happened and just held on to their breath, and it worked, Dylan. But at running back, you need consistency. Yet again, that's been really, if I was Sark, that would be the message to the offense. Like, I know you guys have it in you, but you got to be consistent with it because we need to be able to rely on somebody. So here against Kentucky, Dylan, of course, Quinn Ewers needs to just, I guess, work on that consistency again. But also the running backs. I mean, that's been just as much of an issue because defenses have been able to just key in on Ewers in the passing game, knowing that the running backs just aren't really able to create any big explosive plays past the 5 to 7 yard gains, Dylan, that we've seen in years past with some of the Texas talented guys. They have talent that just hasn't been able to work this year so far. And when it does happen, yet again, the fumble issues come back to haunt them. But yet again, that was a big tease. I've got Texas winning this one 27-10. Now, Dylan, this could go one of 2 ways, as you said, because I mean Kentucky can get blown out by
It could
opponent.
go one of two ways. Yeah, it could go one of two ways.
It could. No, I mean it's either blowout or I think a close game, but I do have in between. So 27-10. I'm not really sure about that one, but Kentucky
Mm.
just 10 points against this Texas defense when they're averaging roughly 22 points offensively. It's not a great number already to start, and that's not factoring in yet again a solid defense. Vandegrift is going to have to work on the touchdown interceptions. He's going to have to stay clean in the pocket and not throw any ducks. But just too much riding on this game for the Longhorns. They got A&M next, so yet again that could make for a trap. But I think the you know
And one game at a time.
One
One get, we're not thinking ahead
that's got
unless
to
you're Mike
be.
Elko. Then he's thinking about Texas.
Yeah, no. If you guys saw that, that was a Freudian slip. But yeah, Dylan. In all honesty, you got to focus on Kentucky because this is a team that could somehow shock you, and they've done it before this season. But yet again, I got Texas winning 27-10. But more important than our predictions, what are you thinking about this Kentucky-Texas game? Let us know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check us out at hornsports.com. And of course, as always, have a great rest of your day.